Yes.
I think you've done it before, probably.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can-
just wanna
okay,
make sure.
sure.
Cool.
Thank you. I guess. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming to our Sunday seminar today. We're very excited to have Alyssa Chinetsky here from the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. And she's going to be talking to us about how to eat healthy, exercise, and be well, and be part of community wellness. Just before she starts, I'll start us off with a prayer. We want to bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together today for this important seminar. Please open our hearts and minds so that we may learn things about how to live our best, most healthy lives. Be with us as we learn today and help us to implement these practices in our lives going forward. In your name we pray. Amen. Without further ado, I'll give you over to Alyssa. Thank you, Michelle. And just like Michelle mentioned, we'll be talking about how to eat healthy. I'll also be coming in the next couple of months as well. So you'll hear a bunch from me. You might get to know me, which would be really fun. I love to get to know people in the community, so it'll be nice, and I can keep coming back and joining your seminars. So today we're specifically talking about My Plate. You might have seen this before, especially if I just gave you the handout. It's right in front of you. I know I heard that somebody has one at home, which is really perfect because it's a really great tool. So we're going to learn a little bit about it, how to use it, and how to make some healthy meals with it. And before we get started, you'll see this before all of my presentations. It's a non-discrimination statement that just states that we're an equal opportunity organization, and that we won't discriminate based on race, color, national origin, sex, religious creed, disability, age, or political beliefs, or a reprisal or retaliation for any civil rights activity. And welcome, my name is Alyssa, as you might have heard. I work at Community Food Bank of New Jersey. I'm a SNAP Ed nutrition educator. So basically, we just teach people how to eat healthy and be active. And this program specifically is called Just Say Yes to Fruits and Vegetables.
Presenter.
Sorry, I forgot to share the screen.
You're good. And also, the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, that's our website right there. So cfbnj.org, if you want to go take a look. And this is the idea for the lesson, a little bit of an agenda for us. So we're going to have our lesson on My Plate, talking about the 5 different food groups. There's fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and dairy. We're gonna have a little activity where we're gonna try to build a plate. So we're gonna do a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. We're gonna do a recipe. There's a small video for you of how to make some stuffed peppers. And they're My Plate stuffed peppers, so they're gonna have some of those food groups in there. A little physical activity, so chair yoga. You'll be able to stay in your seat and do some breathing and some yoga, and it's optional, so you can if you want to, but it will be fun. And also feel free throughout to ask any questions or to stop me for conversation, because that's the fun part about these lessons, is that you're welcome to speak at any time, ask questions, or make comments. At the end, there's a survey. If you'd like to take it, it's optional and short, but definitely not mandatory. So to start, I wanted to ask, what are some of the things you've done recently to stay healthy? If you've done any, has anybody tried to stay healthy in any ways throughout these past few weeks?
Someone gave me a treadmill,
Nice.
so I've been trying to use it.
That's awesome. That's so nice. Someone gave you a treadmill. That's a cool gift. Really awesome. So staying active. Love to hear that. Anybody else? Could have to do with your
your exercising, could have to do with eating or even mental health. Love to hear that people are trying to stay mentally healthy as well, because it's just as important as everything else. But I could tell you, when I teach these lessons, it always reminds me to try to keep all my food groups on my plate. So that's something that I always try to do, is have meals that have all the different food groups. So like, for example, at breakfast this morning, I added some fruits and veggies to my plate when I was having a bagel, but just like you guys had. So just making sure that you're getting a little bit extra vitamins and nutrients on your plate. And I'll explain a little bit more how to do that today. So a little intro to my plate. Has anyone seen this before today? Yeah, some yeses, some no's. It's all right if you haven't, of course. Sometimes this is new because it's actually something that is new technically. So most of you probably know what the food pyramid is. Yeah, probably. So yes, I do too. So the food pyramid is what this used to be. It used to be a pyramid where it started at the top, the things that you don't want to have too much of because it's the smallest. And then at the bottom, it gets bigger. Those are the things you'll eat more of. So grains were usually at the bottom, and then sugars, fat, and salt were at the top because it's the smallest. So what happened actually is Michelle Obama, in conjunction with the USDA, they created the My Plate because we don't eat off of a pyramid, we eat off of a plate. So it makes a lot more sense to visualize what does a plate look like when you put it together to make a healthy plate. So we're going to go through how to use the My Plate and what these food groups mean. Let's start off with fruit. So we spoke a little bit about fruit when we were talking about eating our fruit salad today. The goal for fruit is going to be about 2 cups every day. When you get fruits, they could be any form. So that might be in fresh, dried, frozen, or canned. And when you do get canned, you want to make sure that you get it canned in water or 100% fruit juice. Now, the reason for this is going to be sometimes if they're canned in syrups, it'll be a lot of extra sugar. So you might notice it's in corn syrup or some other types of syrups that they make. These ones are gonna have a lot of added sugar. When you get water, of course, no added sugar, and 100% fruit juice, that is going to be just made from the fruit. I know we thought it was surprising that fruit juice actually counts, or vegetable juice actually counts as a serving, and it does because if you're getting the serving just from fruits, then you're not getting any added sugars and you're still getting some nutrients from it. But you do, of course, want to be a little bit careful about how much juice you have because you're not getting something that's called fiber. When you're getting just the juice, you're not getting the skin of the fruit and you're not getting the body of the fruit. And when you chew that and you break it down, that's going to take some energy. And also it's going to help you to digest a little bit better. It's going to help you go to the bathroom later. And it also helps you to feel more satiated throughout the day. So if you have the full fruit, then that's going to be sometimes a better option than having too much juice as all of your servings for the fruit for the day. Here, you can also see what a serving of fruit would look like. So that might be, for example, 1 banana. It could be about half of a large peach. You could have actually about 50 grapes is 1 serving, half a grapefruit. We also have half a cup of strawberries, half a cup of fruit juice. I'll make sure I get all of them for you guys here now. 2 large plums, half a cup of fruit cocktail, and 1 small apple or orange. Yeah, sure.
What consists of a cup? It says need 2 cups. Is a banana a cup?
Oh, wait, all right.
It says at the top, need 2
Yes.
cups.
So 2 cups every day. So that would be about, yeah, a banana would be about 1 serving. So 1 serving would be about a cup, but, or it depends because 1 serving of fruit. So it's about 2 servings of fruit. Yeah. 2 cups is about 2 servings, but then also, for example, like 2 large plums would be about 1 serving. So that would be like around a cup, for example. Yeah, sorry, that's a little confusing there. That's good. Good question. So about, for example, half a cup of fruit juice, that's going to be about 1 serving. So that's going to be about like half of your serving of fruits for the day. Yeah, good question. Thank you. And you'll see for the vegetables. So it'll be the same idea.
I have a question. Aren't most dried fruits have a lot of sugar though?
There's a Zoom question.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you repeat that?
Don't most dried fruits have a lot of sugar?
Yes, good question. So dried fruits was the question. Dried fruits will have a little bit more sugar. That's because you're taking out the water and it's more condensed and you're getting pretty much just the body of the fruit. So you do want to also limit the amount of dried fruits you're having. You will notice on, for example, like a serving on a package of dried fruits is a lot smaller than a serving of fresh fruit. So for like grapes, you're gonna have a lot more grapes. So a serving of grapes is 50, but a serving of raisins is just 1/4 of a cup of raisins. So you're gonna get
a lot less when you have dried fruit than when you're having the full fruit. So you do want to limit it a little bit more. And that's mostly because there's a lot more condensed sugar in those dried fruits. When it comes to sugar, you want to try to limit the amount you have. The good thing about getting sugar from fruits is that you're getting natural sugar, and at least it's not the added sugar. So natural sugar is coming from nature, of course, and then added sugar is going to be whatever they added in a factory. So for example, like corn syrup, or if they're adding in white sugar, or like when you pour sugar into your coffee, you're adding in that sugar. So that's the one you want to try to avoid more of. So at least when you are getting dried fruits, you are getting natural sugar, but you do of course want to limit it, because what I like to say to people is all sugar is sugar, and it's still going to affect your blood sugar. So for people, for example, that have diabetes and you need to watch your sugar intake, maybe dried fruit is not going to be the best snack option for you, because you're not going to be getting as much water with it, and you're going to have a lot of condensed sugar all in one serving. So that helps with that question. Yes, it does have a lot of sugar in comparison to your typical fruits. And here we are with vegetables. Also, if anybody had more questions about fruits, feel free to ask. Now, when it comes to veggies, again, you have another cup servings here, and that would be about 2.5. You can also go up to about 3 servings of veggies. And similar to that last question, the reason you're gonna have more veggies than fruits is because they naturally have less sugar, and we are trying to avoid too much sugar, whether it's natural, whether it's added, because it can spike up our blood sugar a little bit. But if you're getting sugar, it's good to get it from the fruits, of
Only
course.
2.5 cups. a
So
day.
when we are eating vegetables, 2.5 to 3 cups a day is going to be the average serving for an adult. You can get your veggies raw, fresh, frozen, cooked. They're all going to be good for you. The one thing that we want to, of course, pay attention to is when we're getting canned vegetables, because sometimes they're going to be canned in a lot of sodium, so they might add in a lot of salt in the can. And we were talking about this when you have conditions like hypertension or blood pressure. You're going to want to try to avoid too much salt in your foods, and having canned veggies that can really add in salt without even thinking about it, that it's going to be in there. So when you are having canned veggies, does anybody know what you can do to try to get a little bit less salt in your veggies, in your canned veggies?
Rinse them off.
Rinse them, good, really good, yeah, rinse. Oh, what does it say? Perfect. There you go. Rinse them, yes, definitely rinse them out. So this is gonna be something that you can do that it won't get rid of all of the salt that's in there, of course, but it will get rid of some. So when you're draining that water out, that's where most of the salt is packed in there. So you can rinse them out and get that out of there. You can also do something else when you buy them in the store. Does anybody know what you can do? It says it on the can typically.
Unsalted.
Yes, good. I heard that from the computer. So you can get unsalted, or you might get like low or no sodium canned veggies. Usually it depends on the brand, but they might have like a blue strip across the top that says low sodium or no salt added and things like that. And when it says no salt added, you're actually getting no salt added. So they're not putting any salt in the water. And then I think this is really great because typically when we're cooking, we're putting the salt in ourselves. So if you're going to be adding in salt, no need for somebody else to do it for you right before. So instead, what I like to do is go for those low to no salt versions. But of course, sometimes that's not available. So rinsing it is going to be your best option.
Don't they say that you really shouldn't eat canned veggies, that if you have to go with, if you can't buy fresh, to just go with frozen because they really don't have that much nutritional value?
So I heard that about, the question was about talking about having canned versus frozen if you can't have
Or
fresh. So,
right.
I would definitely say that they do have nutritional value. When you are getting canned or frozen, they're both going to be canned or frozen at their peak freshness, and they still are going to have nutritional value that you're going to be looking for. So having canned peas versus frozen is not going to make a huge difference in their nutritional value, and they're both going to be really good options. I think typically when it comes to canned versus frozen, typically frozen doesn't have much added most of the time, so you're not going to have to avoid the salts. And that's why it might sometimes be easier to find frozen veggies that don't have additives. And the only thing that they typically might add is like sauces or maybe like creams, and those you can easily avoid. I think it can be a little more tricky when you're looking into canned versions, but I would say both are really good options. You don't really have to avoid either one, but it's more to your preference. I know that Sometimes my family, we prefer like canned peas, but we prefer frozen broccoli. So it's really more what you prefer, what you're cooking, the texture of it, and the way that it's going to come out. So yeah, good question. I would say all of the options.
Question. It says eat 2.5 cups every day. You need a lot more than that.
Yeah, I would say with vegetables, this is a recommendation because typically, Americans don't get enough and, people won't actually get that much. And, this is more to say, try to get this much and, you can definitely go way above that for myself, for
Well,
example.
if you need
Yeah.
a salad at lunch.
Yeah.
You already went past the 2.5.
Yeah, no, I would be proud of you if you were to eat more than that. So that's why, when it comes to fruits and veggies, this is more like a lower limit of like, try to get this much. Yeah, for sure. Because in the US, typically people don't eat this much of fruits and veggies and they have a harder time getting them because a lot of our meals are based around processed foods and we're not getting so many fruits and veggies as you might think you are. So this is more of like, a lower limit, but if you get more than that, that is absolutely great because you're gonna get so much fiber, nutrients, minerals, and typically if you're getting more veggies, you're probably gonna get a little bit less of those processed foods because you're not as hungry for them. So really good point. Definitely you can have more than this. Mhm. And another little edit, you might not even be able to see it very well because it's kind of small, but on the serving sizes here, it says 1 cup of leafy greens. Actually, 2 to 3 cups is gonna be about 1 serving because leafy greens are so airy and they're so, they don't really have much calories to them at all. They're very good for you and they don't have much body to them. So you can have way more of those, and similar to a salad. Exactly the point. You can eat way more of those than you would think, so. So a serving would be about 2 to 3 cups of leafy greens, half a cup of cooked vegetables, 1 cup of raw vegetables, half a cup of vegetable juice, or 1 medium starchy vegetable like a potato, for example. Yeah, any more questions about those? Good comments, good questions. All right, so on to our orange section, which is going to be greens. So you want to get about 6 ounces of grains every day, and that can kind of be an arbitrary number because what does 6 ounces look like? So a serving of grains is going to be about 1 slice of bread, 1 cup of cereal, 3 cups of popcorn, 5 crackers, half a cup of rice or pasta, and 8-inch tortilla. And I would say that also serving is approximately the size of your fist. So if you go like this, that'll be about 1 serving of grains, and you can eat about 2 or 3 servings of them in a day. So that would be about like 2 to 3 ounces. So when it comes to whole grains, have you ever heard about how to choose a whole grain in the store? Anything about that? Okay. So when it comes to choosing a whole grain, sometimes it could be really confusing when you're in the store because there's lots of different breads. They claim to be 12 grain, multi-grain, whole grain, white bread. You really don't know what the difference is. But what you're going to want to look for is what's called a whole grain. Now, the best way to do that is to look at the ingredients list. And when you see the word whole as the first word in the ingredients list, you're going to know that you have a whole grain bread. So it might say whole grain flour, it might say whole wheat flour, but that's going to tell you that the ingredient that weighs the most in your bread is whole grain or whole wheat. It's going to be a whole grain. Because the reason that they put the ingredients in that order is because they put them by weight. So the most heavy ingredient is the first ingredient, and then it goes in descending order of the ingredients weights. If that makes sense. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, I know it's a little bit of a convoluted idea. So the reason that you're looking for the first ingredient to be the whole grain or whole wheat flour is that you know that you're getting the whole grain. Now, the reason we want to get a whole grain is because when you are getting whole grain, you're getting the entire seed. So this is how I describe it to kids. When you are in the field of wheat, you pick the wheat out of the field, you get the seed, grind it up, and you bake your flour. There's nothing in between. It's very simple. You're getting that whole seed. When you're getting a refined grain, on the other hand, this means that they're putting it through a factory and they're taking out lots of nutrients and they're taking out different parts of the seed that have things that you really want. They're going to take out some fiber, vitamins, and nutrients and healthy fats. And that also means that it's not going to help you feel as full. It's not going to help you feel as focused. It's not going to help you feel as satiated or even go to the bathroom as well after you eat. So that's why you want to really look for a whole grain when you're in the store. And so is there any questions about whole grains or how to look for them? I know there's a lot of info. But definitely what's a great thing to do is you don't have to go flip to flop and get all of your grains from whole grains right away, what you can try to aim for is getting half of your grains as whole grains. So maybe you don't have the option of getting a white or a wheat bread and you just grab the white bread, but then later on you grab another meal and you try to get a whole wheat piece of bread, or you might get brown rice instead of white rice, or maybe you get like a whole wheat pasta instead of a plain white pasta. And then you can get at least half of your grains for the day as whole grains. And you can get a little bit more fiber and nutrients from your meals. Okay, on to the purple section. That is going to be our proteins. Now you want to get about 5.5 ounces every day. And the size of a protein, if you're trying to look for one serving of protein, is going to be about the size of your palm or the size of a deck of cards. For example, would be about one serving of protein. And then you get about like 2 to 3 servings of these per day if you're trying to make 3 meals in your day. A serving would look like a tablespoon of peanut butter or any type of nut butter, might be a 1/4 cup of beans, a 1/4 cup of split peas or lentils, 1 ounce of meat, 1/2 ounce of nuts or seeds, 1 ounce of poultry, so that's like chicken or turkey, a 1/4 cup of tofu or soy products, large egg, or 1 ounce of fish or seafood. Now, when it comes to meats, you would want to try to go for lean meats. So that would be, for example, like turkey, chicken, fish is a really great lean protein. You can also go for canned versions like tuna is a great option. When you are looking for tuna, try to go for canned in water rather than canned in oil, because that'll add a lot of extra fats to the can that you can add at home, just similar to getting a salted version of vegetables in a can. And when you are doing your protein routine, try to vary it. So you want to try to not just have red meats and chicken all throughout the week, because there's lots of great things that you can get from cold fish, but also plant proteins. Now, does anybody ever try to eat plant proteins, or do you know what they are? Yeah, you do? What type of plant proteins would you go for?
Well, when I go to a restaurant, vegetarian restaurant,
Mhm.
it's usually some kind of plant protein.
Yeah, great. Yeah, there's lots here. And you can even see a couple that are right up here on the board, which you might sometimes get. So like tofu, for example, is a plant protein, but also peanuts is a plant protein. Anything that really grows out in nature that gives you protein, that's going to be considered your plant protein. So at a vegetarian restaurant, they might have edamame, if anybody's ever tried that, tofu, tempeh, or all different kinds, but there's lots of different options that you really would think of. Nuts and seeds are going to count. And a really, really great one is beans. So beans is going to be a very inexpensive option, but you can add it to so many different meals. You can get it canned, you can make it yourself, dried. So there's lots of different ways to make it. But beans is actually the only food that's both a vegetable and a protein food, because that's such a high amount of protein. And the great thing about getting plant protein is that when you're having meats, you're not getting any fiber from that because you're just getting that body animal. But if you are getting a plant protein, you're getting protein and you're getting fiber. So you're kind of hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. So that's why it's really great to mix in some plant proteins into your meals whenever you can. Any questions about this? So now we're on to the 5th section. We're at dairy. So you want to get about 3 cups of dairy every day. This one's a pretty easy one to figure out. A cup of milk, that would be about 1 serving. But what else would count as a serving? So we have about 1/3 cup of shredded cheese. We have 1.5 ounce of block cheese, 1 cup of yogurt, or 2 slices of cheese. Would be about 1 cup of a serving. When we're getting dairy, the great thing is that we get calcium and we get vitamin D. And these are the 2 things that we're really looking for in a serving of dairy. And the reason that we want them is because they're helping our bones and they're helping our bone strength. And vitamin D is especially important recently because during this pandemic, we're all kind of locked up inside a little bit more than usual. And getting vitamin D is important because we also get it from the sun, but actually we haven't been getting as much of it in this recent couple of years. So that's what we're really looking for when we're getting a serving of dairy. Now, when you are choosing dairy, similar to protein, try to go for low or no fat versions if possible. I know sometimes it can be hard to switch from your full fat milk if you're really used to it, but you can do that kind of slowly. So maybe instead of having a full glass of just full fat milk, you can either mix that with a lower fat version, or you can even go for putting a little bit of water in it and slightly watering it down every once in a while, just so you can take out a little bit of fat. slowly. You don't have to do it all in one go if it's going to be a little bit hard for you. But I know some people do enjoy getting the lower fat version, so it's not as hard. And then you can go for fat-free as well. But I do also like to tell everybody that it's pretty interesting that if you look at the nutrition facts, when you go from full fat to no fat, they actually put in more vitamins in the lower fat versions because they're kind of compensating for the fat that they're taking out. So they actually put in more vitamin D typically, and they put in more calcium sometimes. You'll even find more potassium, and the amount of protein that you get stays the same across all the different versions. So it's actually pretty interesting to see that you're getting more vitamins when you choose that lower fat version, which you wouldn't really expect. And then when it comes to different dairy products, like I mentioned, we want to make sure we're getting calcium and vitamin D when we're getting the dairy products. So things like cream cheese or creamer, butter, those actually don't count as a serving of dairy, even though you might have thought they did, because they don't come with enough calcium and vitamin D to be considered a serving of dairy in a day. Doesn't mean that you can't have them, but just know that it won't count towards your serving of dairy on your plate. And then, of course, when it comes to dairy, sometimes people don't tolerate dairy so well. Does anybody know what you can have in place of dairy products? Yeah.
Soy.
Good, perfect, yeah. So oat milk is one of the ones I was thinking of. There's oat milk, there's almond milk, cashew milk, coconut milk, soy milk. There's lots of different things that you can try in the store that are different now. And it's really interesting because now it's so much more options, so many different flavors. And the great thing is that, like I mentioned, we want calcium and vitamin D from dairy, but they typically do what is called fortifying it with these vitamins. So it might say fortified with calcium or fortified with vitamin D on there. And if it says that, that means that you're getting a serving of dairy. So typically I buy some almond milk, and if it says fortified with calcium, then I know that I'm getting a serving of dairy from it, and that can count towards my 3 cups a day goal. Any questions?
Are all yogurts equal?
I would not say all yogurts are equal. So good question. There's so many yogurts in the store, and definitely some of them could be a little tricky. So the ones that you're going to get that are going to be really good options are going to be, for example, Greek yogurt. That's high protein. It's going to be much lower sugar than most other yogurts. And when you are getting it, as long as there's no different little additives that have a lot of extra sugar, that's going to be your best option. And they do make them really good now, so you could find some good ones. But I would definitely try to steer away from the ones that have like the fruity layers. Yeah, those ones. M&Ms.
Add your own.
Yeah, add your own. That's going to be your best bet for sure. Yeah.
I always buy plain Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
I don't ever buy the flavored Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Just put my own fruit in.
Definitely. That is exactly what I would recommend, because when you're going plain, you know that they're not usually adding a lot of added sugars. The best thing to look for to know that you're getting one that's low sugar is to just take a look at the sugars on the nutrition facts label. If it's sometimes with Greek yogurt, it'll be 0 grams of sugar, which is really good. But if you look at that percent daily value on the side, if it's about 5% or lower of added sugars, then that's going to be a really good one to find. So if you see the percentage on the side, it's 5% or lower, then you got a good yogurt probably. Sure.
Milk. Regular milk versus coconut milk or the other flavored milk.
So the calories are going to really differ depending on the type that you get. So for example, with a cup of like fat-free milk, you'll probably get about 90, 100 calories. When it gets to the full fat milk, you get up to, I think it's around like 130 to 150. I'm not exactly sure of the exact numbers, but when you get things, for example, like almond milk, I know when I get my almond milk, I get it unsweetened, and I get it unsweetened because there's not going to be added sugar. So if you get it sweetened, usually they have lots of added sugar. When I get it unsweetened, it's about 30 calories in a cup. When you get it sweetened, I believe, and I need to double check, it's about 100. So it really fluctuates depending on the company and what they add into it. So you kind of just have to take a look at the back label and see what they put in. But I would say if you are going for the ones that are plant-based, try to go for the unsweetened versions, because what I do is if I want to add a little sweet to it, add a little honey in there, or maybe add in like a little bit of stevia, sometimes I'll use, and it makes it taste like it's a little more sweetened, but you're not putting in all those added sugars that they would be putting in for you. So it's kind of like when you're cooking with salt, like add the salt in for yourself and don't have them do it, because you really don't know
how much is going in if they do it for you. Yeah, yeah, of course. Good question. Okay, perfect. I don't know if they have- Perfect. So time for our little activity. So feel free to join in during this. We're going to try to practice building a healthy plate together. It's going to be pretty simple. So let's go to see what we have. So here we are making a chicken salad sandwich. And we already have some plain yogurt for the dressing. We also have, instead of mayo, that's instead of mayo. And we also have a piece of whole grain bread, which we know because we checked the ingredients and the first word in the ingredients list is the word whole, right? So we also have some grilled chicken. Now, what are the two food groups that we're missing? Veggies and fruit, perfect. So we have some options here. Now, what would you put? There's no wrong answer. What would you add in? If it's not something here, feel free to tell me what else you'd add in.
Lettuce and tomato one.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I would do that too. And actually, tomato is a fruit. So if anybody didn't know that, it's technically a fruit because it has seeds in it. So you would be getting both your fruits and veggies. Does anybody else want to say what they put?
But if you put lettuce, you wouldn't put enough lettuce to count as a serving. would you?
So that depends, yeah, how much you put on there. But something that would be great to do is maybe do like a side salad, right? Like you can add a little bit more extra to the side and do a side salad. So definitely don't be afraid to add a little bit extra on there, definitely. It does not have much when it comes to calories. For example, if you're really not getting, you're getting an insignificant amount of calories per day. That's why you can have so much, like we mentioned before. But it does have a lot of good nutrients like fiber, and it's gonna have a lot of vitamins and minerals that are gonna be really good. When you get darker greens, that's gonna be giving you a little bit more when it comes to like iron and when it comes to fiber as well, because you might even notice, for example, it's a little bit harder to chew. So like iceberg lettuce, it's a little more crunchy, but it's more watery. And then when you get something like spinach, that's gonna have more of like fiber because it's a little bit harder to chew. So then when you get those darker greens, you're getting a little bit more of the vitamins. So if you are trying to get more of a vitamin intake and nutrient intake, you can lean towards like romaine or spinach, for example. Yeah. Mhm.
If I'm making chicken salad, I would want more than just yogurt in it, though.
Okay, what would you add?
Probably chopped up celery or cucumber.
Yeah, definitely. I would add that too. Something. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you can add in, you can add celery. I even like to add grapes inside because it makes it a little bit sweet and crunchy. So you can be a little creative with it. So definitely add in a little bit of something else. Some people might put onions in. But like we mentioned, add more veggies if you can. Add a little bit more fruit because those are going to be the ones we don't usually get enough of. So if you're being creative and adding more colors to your plate, it's only going to do you better. So that's totally fine if you want to make it a little bit more fun. And then here, this is just a sample of what maybe you choose. So celery, grapes, you can add both of them into the salad. You can have them on the side, but right here, you're going to get all those 5 food groups and it could be in one sandwich. Oh, trust me, yeah. I guess trust me.
I know they recommend the yogurt, but I just a light mayo. I
Yeah,
don't just put a lot in it, but I don't like it yogurt. I tried.
that's fine.
It's not the same, it's not the same chicken salad.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I don't
totally
think Marie
fine.
does either. Let's check out her face.
That's fine, don't worry. So when it comes to using mayo, that's fine. I use mayo too. I use a light mayo as well. The thing that is we have to remember it won't be a serving of dairy. So it, yeah, which is okay. Like again, which is okay. So maybe if you want, you could add a slice of cheese on top and then you make sure that you're getting some dairy. Or maybe you have like a glass of milk on the side and then that way you know you're getting dairy. Or maybe you don't want dairy in this meal and you can just have a little snack later on, like a little bit of cheese, but just know that it's not a serving and that's totally fine because we're gonna eat things that aren't on the my plate. It's gonna happen, obviously. So that's totally fine. So this is just showing you how to make it with all those food groups, but if you are not a yogurt and your chicken salad person, that's okay.
If you put the celery in the chicken,
Mhm.
make the chicken salad, is that still considered a portion, or do you have to add another vegetable?
Yeah, no, no, that would totally work. That would totally work. So similar, like if you're having veggies with your chicken, or if you're having a stir fry, as long as it's all in that meal, you're good to go. So you just want to make sure you're getting it in and if you're eating it, you have it in your meal, so that's totally fine.
You made me think, so you have this, but what happens with things that are not on that plate?
Yeah, so those are just going to be extras, and they're just not going to be a part of those servings in the day, so part of the recommendation, which is fine, because a donut's not a part of our recommendation, but we're gonna eat a donut once in a while, and that's okay. I had a donut yesterday, so, that's okay. But, it's just not contributing to that nutrient need that we're recommended, so that's why we're just trying to hit this goal of the servings on my plate, but there's obviously going to be other things, and we're obviously not going to hit it every day. So you're not gonna eat 3 cups of veggies every single day, but maybe another day you're eating 5 cups of veggies, which is really good. So it's really just about trying to find that balance, because no one's perfect. So you're gonna have those salty, sugary, fatty foods, but just eating them in moderation is kind of the idea. Mhm. So here we are, we have a breakfast meal, and we're gonna try to finish it. So first, we have some oatmeal, we have some berries, and we have some low-fat milk. Now, what is the purple section? What are we missing there? Protein, great. So here we have some protein options. Usually we have only one here that really makes the most sense, but what would you add? Yeah, the almonds, I think. I think chicken would be a little funny on the side, so we would probably add some almonds in here. And now, when it comes to veggies, this is a little bit of a tricky one. So what would you do here to say for veggies?
But I would have added a hard boiled egg and, you know.
Okay, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that one. Perfect. Definitely a good breakfast option. And that might actually go well with more veggies, right? So like, if you do hard boiled, or you might do like scrambled eggs and you throw in a couple peppers, then that might be a good option as another breakfast thing. So that would be a really good idea, actually. I like that idea. And then I think here, so what we have is a little cup of carrots. Now, for myself, I think it would be a little funny to eat the carrots on the side. And so it doesn't sound the most appetizing, but I think more the idea here is that instead of having every single food group on the plate during this meal, what you could do is have a little mid-morning snack later in the day. So maybe like an hour and a half later, you're a little bit hungry and you go grab a cup of carrots. And that's the thing, is that it's okay if not every single food group is on your plate all at the same time, because it's not really realistic to get all of those food groups at every single meal. But as long as you're trying to get a little bit more later in the day, then that's totally fine. So that's why we're adding it in here, but it's not really during the breakfast. It's more of like a mid-morning snack. So that's just another option of how you can kind of put it together. Now, fun one, we have an unhealthy meal, and what we're gonna do is we're going to try to make it healthier. So let's take a look. First off, we're gonna start with our veggies and our protein. We have French fries and we have some fried chicken. Now, what do you think you can? Yeah, this meal's a little funky. So what would you do in place of the French fries first? What would we do? A sweet potato, really good, awesome. Maybe you do like a baked potato, right?
Maybe do it in one of those air fryers.
Yeah, an air fryer.
Or bacon.
Yeah, perfect. That's what I was thinking, is making it a different way. So the way you cook things is going to make a really big difference in the way that it affects how your body feels too. Even after you eat like a sweet potato baked or a regular potato baked, and then you eat French fries, I think that we can feel a lot more energy when we're having that baked potato rather than the French fries, right? And the way that you're cooking the French fries seeped in oil, that's because you're adding lots of extra fats that are actually going to be called bad fats rather than good fats. So they have a lot of saturated fats. And the good fats are going to be things like olive oil and things like coconut oil and things that are like olives or avocado. Those are going to help you feel better and feel more satiated. So we could talk more about fats in another lesson probably, because it's a whole other topic. But the way that you're cooking them is going to make a huge difference. So when you bake it, you're not adding all those extra fats, and it's going to help you to feel a little bit more energized, and it's going to be a little bit better for your body. So let's say we do go for that sweet potato or sweet baked potato or regular baked potato or air fried. Then what would you do for the chicken? Can we switch it up? Okay. You like it like that's okay. Sometimes that's what we need, right? Sometimes you just need some fried chicken. But yeah, and then I also heard over here you could bake it, another great one. Or maybe use that air fryer, because I hear that it comes out so amazing. And the good thing about the air fryer is you're frying it, but you're not using those hot oils, and the hot oils are the things that's actually going to make it not so good for you. So maybe try a different way of cooking it if you have that ability. But definitely sometimes you want fried chicken. So here, they switched it out with some grilled chicken and a salad. And
It could be a potato, it could be salad, either way, you can do it. This is just what came up here. So next up, let's see what we're
Bread,
bringing up.
cheese.
Yes, the bread, perfect. So this is a white bread over here. What would you do to change the bread? Yes, whole wheat, perfect. You go check that bag, see if the first ingredient is whole grain or whole wheat. Then you can grab a whole wheat piece of bread. And then we have a milkshake. So what would you get?
Oh, there's no such-
This is more like a kid's meal, I think.
Low fat milk.
Yeah, low fat milk, perfect. I think that's exactly what, so here we have those options here, and I think that's exactly what's chosen on the next slide. Yeah, so we have the whole grain bread, we have whole wheat pasta, brown rice is gonna be a whole grain, and then also some cheese, some Greek yogurt, and some milk. And look at that, they picked exactly what we wanted, so perfect. And now on the left, we have fruit gummies, but although they're shaped as fruit, you might be surprised to know that they don't count as a serving of fruit.
Oh, I thought they were- I thought it was real fruit.
Yeah. So what would you put? It could be really anything. What would you have?
It's really M&M's.
M&M's. I don't know if that would serve as a serving of fruit, but it'd be a good dessert for sure.
It have to be red M&M's. I do like Panera does, get an apple.
Yeah, get an apple, perfect. And I think here they put an orange, but either way, it could be any type of fruit you want, grapes, apple, orange, banana. As long as you're getting that serving, then it's perfect, whatever you want. But this is just to show that it can be super easy to go from that unhealthy meal, or not so healthy meal, I'd like to say, to this much more healthy meal that's colorful and has lots of different vitamins and nutrients. And we did it in really under a couple of minutes, so it can be that easy. So it's a lot. It can be fun to change up your plate and move your mind this way. Yeah, sad that fruit snacks don't count. And another great thing that I like to point out about my plate, and that you might notice about this plate, but also if you make like a salad or a really big plate of different types of fruits and veggies and all these different things, is that when you do switch from this meal, from the meal that we had with the fried chicken and the French fries, then up to this, you're adding lots of colors and a lot of different nutrients to your plate. And when you see a lot of colors on your plate and you eat what we like to say to kids is eat a rainbow, you're gonna get a lot more different flavors, but also vitamins, nutrients, and minerals. And when I look at my plate and I see all these different colors, I like to think of every single different color as a different vitamin or nutrient helping my body in different ways. So when you are getting a rainbow on your plate, you're also getting a lot of things that help your body in so many different ways. Like if you get carrots and you get orange, it's good for your eyes. If you get blueberries and you're getting antioxidants, it's gonna be good for your skin. So all these different things that you're getting are gonna help you in so many different ways. And that's why we wanna really vary what we're getting, get a good colorful plate, and try to get all of these different food groups involved in our diet. Yeah. Now, any questions about this activity? That was our last click that we're making, so if you do have a question. And now I have a little recipe for you. So this is a recipe that's going to be stuffed peppers. And what's going to be involved is 5 bell peppers, 1 pound of lean ground beef, uncooked brown rice, low sodium tomatoes, lemon juice, some spices, so allspice, cinnamon, and pepper. And then there's going to be some water for cooking. Now, there's going to be a video on this next screen, and we will share that. So do you want to? Yeah, thank you. Wait, if it didn't work, it's sent there. I can look the video.
Yeah, that doesn't
It's not going to.
seem to be doing anything.
Maybe it didn't go when I sent it through email. I can search them up though.
Okay, yeah.
Should I do that? All right.
You see. Sorry, everyone, technical difficulty. Sorry if I go on here, right? Okay. Oops. We go. I think this is it. Oh, yeah, let me do that just in case. Here we go. All right, perfect.
And then I'll search up the physical activity too. All right.
Hi, I'm Chef Carla Hall, and I'm here with
Ashton.
Ashton was telling me that he is trying to make healthier choices at school. And so, Ashton, what are some of the things that you like at school?
Well, I really like the veggie quesadillas and the chicken stir fry that they have at my school.
Oh, that sounds so good. So do you cook at home?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah?
I have 4 siblings, so I have to cook for them a lot.
Oh my gosh, so what would you say if I am going to show you something that is healthy for you to make for yourself and your siblings?
That sounds delicious.
All right, so I'm going to show Ashton how to make a stuffed bell pepper. You can use any kind of peppers, and then one of the things that the schools use are fresh ingredients, local produce, because it's fresher and it's also cheaper. So in this recipe, we have 5 peppers, but I want to show you the secret to actually cutting the tops off the peppers. So when I take my knife, I just cut through the flesh. I don't go all the way to the seeds. So there's that little hat, and actually I may have you do this. Stick your thumb in there and just lift the entire thing up open. Look at that. See, all of your seeds are right here. So then what we're gonna do is just pick out these ribs like that, and then it's ready. See?
Yep.
Easy peasy. And then what I'm gonna do here is actually cut out the seeds because we're gonna need this lid to put on our peppers. So we're gonna do that to all of them. Ashton and I working together, we got all of the peppers done in little to no time. So now they're all ready for us. The next step we're gonna do is actually mix our filling. And here I have a pound of lean ground beef. And then what we're gonna do is take 3/4 cup of brown rice. And will you mix this for me? So that goes in there. It is uncooked brown rice right into the bowl. And then we have our 1/2 can of low sodium tomatoes diced. That goes into the bowl. So mix that up really well. And now here comes the fun part. All of the seasonings and the things that make this dish really delicious. So we have 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. That goes in. That's gonna add a little bit of acid. Now Ashton, this may surprise you, but I want you to smell this. Do you know that?
Allspice.
Yes. So you have a 1/4 teaspoon of the allspice, and then smell this.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon, exactly.
Yeah, I bake a lot, so I use that a lot.
So we have a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. This is gonna really make this dish feel like you are traveling. And then a little bit of black pepper. So that goes in there. So mix all of that up. It's already starting to look really good. All right, so let's start filling the peppers. Perfect, we fill them right to the top, and it's just enough for our 5 peppers. And then that goes into the pot. Now what I'm gonna have you do is pour some water in. We want about 1 inch of water. This is gonna help our peppers cook. So we're gonna put the lid on these, and then we're gonna take it to the stove, cook it on medium for 30 to 40 minutes. Ashton, it's time.
Oh, delicious.
That's the thing about cooking together. You have to wait, all those smells. All right, so the moment of truth. Oh. Okay, so let's taste our handiwork. Right? You taste that allspice?
Cinnamon.
Yes,
We made something delicious.
delicious and healthy. All right, if you want to do more of this like we've just done, check out USDA's What's Cooking website. And I hope you're inspired, and I hope you're also inspired to go to the farmer's market and to eat seasonally.
It's allspice just a mix. I think I only use it once.
Yeah, I don't typically use it too often when I'm cooking, but it is just like a mix of a lot of different spices. Yeah, basically. Yeah, there's lots of different ways that you can make this recipe for sure. You can use allspice, you can take it out. Maybe for this one they used meat, but if you don't eat meat, you can use beans as a plant protein, right? But I thought this was a really cool recipe because I'd actually never seen them cut off the top of the pepper and then cook it with it on top. Has anybody tried that before? No? But yeah, so I thought it was a pretty cool recipe to try, and they call it My Plate stuffed peppers. The one thing that I saw missing was one food group. Did anybody notice which food group was missing? So I was gonna say dairy, actually, okay, so there's a debate on if, there's a debate if peppers are fruit or veggie. So you could kind of put it
And
as
the
both.
tomatoes are fruit.
Yeah, yeah, so, that's where I was looking, I was like, maybe, yeah, and then they seem to have like a little bit of peppers on the side, so. I was thinking dairy, so does anybody think, what can we do to add some dairy to this plate?
Yogurt.
Yeah,
Yogurt
you,
might work on this.
yeah, you can do it as like a little dip maybe, right? What else did anybody have? Yeah. I don't know, I think I might add some cheese, yeah, some cheese on top, I thought that'd be good. Yeah, or like milk on the side might be funny, I don't really like to drink milk just as cup, but you could, but that'd be another option, but I thought this would be a nice little recipe you can try, and if anybody wants, the link to it, then I can always send that to Michelle if you want to try it at home, then we can send it to you. And while there were my questions about it, I kind of asked you. And then finally, so on my plate, there are 5 food groups. There's another section that's also called limit. So limit your salts, your fats, and your sugars. And then there's also this little section off to the side, which is physical activity. Now, obviously, physical activity is not on your plate, but it is a very important thing to add in order to have a healthy lifestyle. So physical activity is going to be any movement that requires energy, and for health reasons, physical activity should be moderate or vigorous, meaning that it gets your heart rate above resting levels. Now, I was talking to one of my participants at another group who she always comes in and she's really great. And she was talking to her doctor and she really can't move around that much. So she asked her doctor, if I'm just doing little activities throughout the day, for example, I showed her how to do chair yoga. I showed her how to do moving her arms around while she's watching TV, or this sitting down ab workout. And she does it for 2-3 minutes a day. He said that that is really great and that counts as good physical activity for her because it's getting her heart rate above if she was just sitting there during the day. So even every little minute of movement, it really counts towards what the recommended goal for physical activity is going to be for you. When it comes to adults, the recommended goal is going to be about 30 minutes 5 times per week. So maybe that's Monday through Friday. You do 30 minutes of activity, and then you take a break on the weekend. For kids, it's a little bit longer. It's maybe 60 minutes a day. So they're going to be wanting to do about an hour of physical activity a day. When it comes to physical activity, does anybody try to be active? I know you said you have a treadmill, so that's really good.
I walk a lot.
Good, you walk.
In fact, my watch wants me to walk right now.
Good. If you want to get up and walk around and get that hour of movement, I know how it feels.
I change mine up every other day.
Okay.
I walk, I ride a bike.
Good.
Not a station, like a bike.
Nice.
In the parks and stuff.
Cool.
And I do weight bearing.
Okay. Really great.
I
Awesome.
mix it up. I don't like to do anything the same.
Yeah, well, if that's what you like, right? So definitely that's something that I would say is make it fun and make it something you enjoy. So if you don't want to be, on the treadmill all the time, go for a walk outside or go on the bike or lift some like light weights or something like that. But do something that's fun. For me, for example, my favorite physical activity is dancing, and I dance all the time. So that's what makes it fun for me. I love music, so why not, but do stuff that's going to make you smile and stuff that you're going to enjoy, and don't make it feel like it's a burden or a chore, right? So, do things that are creative, and it's okay if you're not active now. There's always adding a little bit of time, adding a little bit of movement throughout the day. Like I said, every minute counts. So just 5 minutes more than yesterday is going to be 5 minutes more than yesterday, and that's an achievement. In my eyes, it should be achievement in your eyes. So maybe we'll give you some ideas of how you can do that throughout these sessions. Now, I have another video. I don't know if it'll go through, but if it doesn't, I can look it up again.
No, that's totally fine. I can do it. So we're gonna do some quick yoga at your desk, and it's gonna be really simple. So you're just gonna want a little bit of room just in your space. And if you want to do it, you can. If you don't, no worries. Yes, well seated. So it's in your chair, nothing too, impacting.
Ready to start eating healthier?
We got an
Meet
ad.
Kachava. Kachava is the world's health.
So I'll share this again. Yes. Now, another little thing about the physical activity, if you feel any pain or discomfort, feel free to stop And when it comes to physical activity, it's all about listening to your body. Oops, wrong one. It's all about listening to your body and doing what feels good for you. So if you're not comfortable when we're doing this, you are not forced to do it alone. You can always take a break, take a breather. So here we go. maybe some of those things were easy, maybe they were something you want to work on, but the great thing about physical activity is that you do it on your own time or how you feel you can do it, and you don't have to feel forced to do anything that's past your comfort zone. So when it comes to yoga, when it comes to weightlifting, anything like that, you always want to just do what feels good for you. So listen to what your body feels. You need to do a little less, do a little bit more. It's always something that you can adjust as you go. Maybe I'm gonna click right now. But how did everyone feel about that? How did it feel? Was it a lot? Was it just enough?
Stretching is very beneficial.
Yeah. Good. All right, great. Happy you liked it. Yoga is so great because it's what's called a low impact workout. It's similar to walking. It's gonna be something that doesn't put a lot of aggression or like hard tension on your bones and on your joints. So when it comes to yoga, it's something that's so slow moving, and it's gonna be something that your body can adjust to as you continue to do it. A little bit more, you'll get a little deeper into the stretch, but it's not going to hurt your joints or your bones in different ways because you're doing it in a slow and controlled way. And another great thing about yoga is it's good for your mental health. So you might even feel a little more calm after that. I know I do. So it could be something that you can do. Maybe you're a little stressed out, take a second, do 5 minutes of yoga at your desk or on your couch, and maybe it'll help you to just take a little breather throughout the day. There you go. Next thing. But any questions about physical activity before? Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll try to do a little short activity like that each time. So you get more ideas of adding food things into your day. But that's pretty much all I have for you today. So just as a quick reminder, we have the 5 food groups, which are going to be fruits, veggies, protein, grains, and dairy. You want to try to get low fat dairy and protein, about half of your grains as whole grains, and a good amount of fruits and veggies each day so that you can get a really colorful plate with lots of different vitamins and nutrients. And when you're choosing those whole grains, remember the key is to look at the ingredients list and find the first ingredient says whole. So whole wheat flour, whole grain flour is going to be a good sign that you're getting a whole grain. Or you can go for brown rice, whole wheat pasta, for example. Yes.
Fats to incorporate into the diet.
Yes, we didn't talk much about it. I know that I mentioned that's kind of a big topic, right? So
That could have been for another session.
we could do a whole, there's sometimes I'll do the whole session on that one, but we could definitely, I'll give you a little bit of an idea before I finish up. So there's gonna be when they say good fats and bad fats, they're actually not, so I hate to say anything's bad, quote unquote. We're talking about food because food is food, it's okay. But there's gonna be the fats that you wanna go towards your good fats and the ones that you wanna avoid a little bit more of, so your bad fats, quote unquote. So when you're getting saturated or trans fats, those are the ones you want to avoid. On your food label, they have to tell you when they're saturated and trans fats. Those are the ones you want to try to limit in your diet. So under your total fat, you'll be able to see them. Those are going to be things like oils that are heated at high heats. You don't want to have too much of those. It's going to be things you find in pastries. It's going to be the things that you expect. So like having too much of a red meat, of the fat from a red meat. Those are the ones you want to avoid more of, margarine or like shortening and butter. The ones that you want to have more of are going to come, but they're called unsaturated fats. So there's monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, and those are going to come from avocados, olive oil, olives are a great one. I think off the top of my head, coconuts have a lot of good healthy fats in them. So those are going to be the ones you want to try to go for. The reason that you go for unsaturated rather than saturated is that our bodies are naturally equipped to break down unsaturated fats better than saturated fats. Unsaturated fats, similar to like natural sugars, or more natural in nature. The fats that are saturated are the ones that are really made by people, and similar to added sugars, they're not going to be as good for you. Again, they're more added by a factory or by somebody that's making something for you. So that's why typically our body is just naturally made to eat the foods that come from nature. So whether it's coming from animals and hunting, or coming from making things in a field, or just coming straight from the bushes and the trees,
your body is more naturally able to break those things down, and that's why we typically go for them and why they're usually better and more naturally processed by our body, if that makes sense. So does that kind of answer your question? Do you have any specific question?
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
at a certain age, of course, get the cholesterol checked all
Yeah.
the time, so it's important
To keep an eye.
to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
and trying to avoid the saturated.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
didn't want to say bad, that is the bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and people do say it, and it's almost not incorrect to say it, but it's the one you want to avoid more of. And I would also go as far to say is those things that say low or non-fat, that are things like snacks that say like 0 fat. Just always check that they're not putting added sugar, because sometimes they take out fat and they add in sugar or they add in salt. So although something's made it, if it's made in a factory, always second guess it. You never really know.
And it works the opposite way. too.
Yes.
It says, no sugar.
No sugar, they might add
It
some
might
fat.
add more fat.
Yes, exactly, because they're always going for flavor and they want you to love their product. So that's why you always want to check on that.
I just want to vent.
Go for it.
It drives me crazy how much salt is in everything.
Yes.
Because I will pick up something, like even something frozen or whatever, and look at the ingredients, and when I see how much salt it is, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
It'll be like 50% of your salt for the day. And it's not even a salty food.
No, exactly. And I think this is a question that you had before, and I actually looked it up to make sure. And so the recommendation for adults would be to stay below 2,300 milligrams to 2,300 milligrams of salt. And it also stated that that is about 1 teaspoon of salt in a day. So I really don't think that we're typically staying below that much, because the odds that you're having something that is below a teaspoon of salt, even maybe on one meal, it might be low depending on what you're having. So that's why it is pretty upsetting to see that so many things have added salt, and that's why we kind of have to be conscious of our food labels and figuring out how to read them, which if we are really interested in that, then I could make that one of our next lessons, is reading the food labels and nutrition facts labels, because that might be a useful follow-up to this one. So, yeah. Any other questions or comments? Venting is also totally fine. But other than that, that is all I have. And so this is the optional survey. Feel free to do it if you'd like. I can send it to Michelle after if we want to send it through an email, which might be easier. But it's anonymous. It's pretty much just asking how you like the session. But I can email it to you if it's a little bit easier. I know that some people don't figure out how to scan this. But if you do, one of the important information on here, if you want to contact me with any questions or anything, my email is achaneski@cfbnj.org. So my name is Alyssa Chinesky, and feel free to contact me. I'm always happy to answer any questions or help you out with anything you might be wondering about. And other than that, that is all I have for you today. So I hope that you enjoyed the session. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Alyssa. I think we all learned a lot today and really appreciate you being here. So I'll take this opportunity to say that there's still much more to learn. We have 2 more scheduled sessions with Alyssa on November 14th and December 12th. We'll announce the time for those. We may push them up to start at 11:30. Like I said, it'll be different lessons, so please come back. It won't be the same thing again.
What will the lesson be the next week?
So after talking about, we could probably do nutrition facts labels, so maybe that will help out doing that, might be a good one, because we talked a lot about that today.
Yeah. So thank you everybody again for coming. Please take some of the food that's there. There's too much. I can't take it all home. You need to take some of it home. So, and thank you again to listen. We'll see you at our next seminar.
Thank you. Yes, of course. I hope you did. Really. I was just going to the University of Rochester, in New York. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Of course.
Like, do you have a plan?
Thank you, everybody.
Sessions, like,
Sorry, I'm sitting here.